So there's something I've been thinking about for quite a while, and that is how people are going to play GTA 6 differently from one another. And this may sound like a weird thing to say because everyone just kind of assumes we're going to have the same experience since GTA is a crime simulator game, right? So how differently could people even play it? But if you look at Red Dead 2 and also role playing for both Red Dead and GTA Online, it's not hard to see how GTA 6 is probably going to have way more than just one community. It's most likely going to have dozens of different communities all coexisting inside of the same game. And something pretty wild you have to consider is that even two players who both put 200 hours into GTA 6 will walk away having completely different experiences from one another. And not just because one person rushed the story than the other, but I really do think that they would legitimately be playing the game in a fundamentally different way. So, as we go through this, I want you to think about which one of these playstyles actually sounds like you. And to really understand what I'm talking about, you have to look at GTA 5 and how it functioned. That game naturally pushed almost every person towards the same handful of activities. Things like stealing cars or making money or running heists or even races. Or if I'm being honest, when it comes to the multiplayer, basically just being griefers. So you also did have people that are role players and car collectors, and there were people that liked exploring the map. But the game itself was never really built around supporting radically different playstyles. It essentially funneled people towards a pretty narrow set of behaviors that they just didn't realize they were doing. And GTA 6 looks completely different in this regard. And I think the reason comes down to identity. This is not just going to be a game that hands you a list of features and lets you basically pick from a menu. I think that this game is going to really ask you what kind of person you want to be inside of the world. I think this is going to be true for both single player and especially the online. And that shift from basically having features in the game and using and playing these different features to actually having an identity is what's going to create all of these different subcultures of players. So let's start with the first type of player, and that is the tourist. This is the person who never rushes anywhere and they just want to soak in every inch of the world. They're going to basically be the people that are walking through Vice City and actually reading all the little signs and posters. They're going to stop into every restaurant they see and check out random interiors of every building they could enter. They're going to be also taking pictures constantly, probably of like sunsets. They're going to be exploring every beach and every key and wandering into swamps and murky areas just to see what they're like. And the reason is because Leonida is going to basically be a main character in of itself. And the tourist player is someone who's going to treat the setting of the game with the same reverence that most people would reserve for the story. Next up, we have the explorer, and this one's a little different from the tourist because the explorer isn't just soaking in the atmosphere. They're actively hunting down every weird and hidden thing that's buried in the game. Things like hidden caves and strange NPC encounters, as well as all the crazy Easter eggs and UFOs or even cryptids and unsolved mysteries that are going to be scattered all over the map. And if you go back to the 2022 leaks, there were actually mentions of things like abandoned hovercrafts, secret fishing spots, backyard wrestling rings, island camps, museums, and even a rumored Satanist house, whatever that means. There's going to be so much for this type of player to actually explore and dig through. Then you have the role player, and I don't necessarily mean the online role player. This type of roleplay and style is something that people are familiar with because of Red Dead 2. And these players are going to be the ones who really lean into the greet, threaten, rob, and antagonize mechanics that appear to be making a return based off of the leaks. This is a person who's going to somewhat obey traffic laws and even sleep regularly with their character, and honestly even change their clothes depending on what they're going to be doing that day, and maybe even pick out a favorite neighborhood to settle into. Essentially, these are the people who are going to treat the entire game like a life simulator rather than a crime game. Now, coming in right behind that is the hunter. And this is someone who is almost exclusively going to be focused on finding and hunting down rare animals, as well as fishing and discovering all of the hidden wildlife that's scattered throughout the swamps and the forest. I think the ocean is also going to be a massive part of this playstyle, given what we already know, like having a harpoon gun in the game, which is going to open up an entire underwater hunting scene that nobody has really experienced in a GTA title before. And I personally myself might fall into this category a little bit, if I'm being totally honest, since hunting was really one of my favorite things to do in Red Dead 2. And now we get to the criminal. And honestly, this is probably going to be what most players default into without even realizing it. These are the people who basically live for all the robberies and random NPC type of mugging situations on the street. And I mean, that's the way I used to play Red Dead, actually, because I would just stick up anybody I would see riding their horse. And these are the players who are going to be very well acquainted with the police system and the new chase mechanics. I think home invasions are also going to be a thing, potentially. And obviously, we're going to see weapon collecting, which is going to be huge for these types of players, because I think customizing your gear and weapons have always been the bread and butter of GTA. So this is the classic playstyle that, honestly, most of us are probably going to spend a decent chunk of time with. And then there is the collector, and this is someone who genuinely does not care about crime at all, and is instead focused on tracking down every unique vehicle, rare clothing item, hard to obtain luxury apartments, or even boats that are going to be scattered across the map. There were actual leaks suggesting that Jason might have a hat collecting minigame where there's just going to be hats that you find and collect throughout the game. But I'm personally not a collector myself, but I know plenty of people who live for this exact kind of gameplay loop. And trust me, I think GTA 6 is going to have a ton of collectible items for people to hunt down. Next up, we have the social player, and this one is going to mostly apply to the online, but it could easily bleed into the single player as well. And these are people who don't really care about most of the game's content outside of the social scene. And I'm talking about things like car meets or community events, or maybe even fashion contests. Anything that involves hanging around other players who are into the same things that they are. This is also going to overlap with the role-playing, but it's going to be much more focused on the social media and flexing side of things, and being seen and connecting with a community rather than just grinding activities or things like that. And then there is the photographer, and Rockstar has already kind of been building towards this whole thing with photo challenges in both the GTA Online and Red Dead Online. I think there's going to be an entire demographic of players whose primary goal is capturing beautiful sunsets, storms, luxury cars, or even dangerous wildlife, and also trying to capture the stunning architecture throughout Leonida. These are the people who are going to flood social media in real life with jaw-dropping screenshots after launch. And this is going to genuinely help keep the hype alive by showing the rest of the world how beautiful GTA 6 really looks like. Coming in next is the detective, and honestly, I've been in a bit of a detective mood myself recently since I've been playing through LA Noire on stream. But Rockstar has always loved mysteries, you know, whether it's serial killer mysteries or subplots or supernatural things like ghost stories or secret room or even alien Easter eggs. I'm sure that most of you even remember the Chiliad mystery from GTA 5. And I really think that GTA 6 is going to have a lot more mysteries and conspiracies than any other Rockstar game before. And there's going to be entire channels and communities dedicated purely to trying to solve all of them. And here is one that I'm probably going to be a part of myself, and that is the gym player. So there have been leaked world events that actually mention working out challenges, and we already know from the trailers that fitness and physicality are going to be a big part of the game, or at least a part of the game. And I also really think that there are going to be a lot of players who almost exclusively dedicate their playtime to building their character up physically, treating the gym as an actual gameplay loop rather than just some side feature the game has. And I'll admit to you, like I already said, this is probably going to be a decent chunk of my own playtime because my Jason and Lucia and online characters are going to be jacked. And right after that, we have the content creator. And this one is going to exist in both single player and online thanks to the social media systems that are built into the game. And what I think this is going to be is the equivalent of people making TikTok style clips or even in-game music videos. And there were actually leaks that suggested that there are already going to be music video world events and possibly even full-blown scripted scenarios. I really think that GTA 6 could bring back the old machinima era of YouTube, where people made entire movies and shows using in-game footage. That kind of creativity feels like it's going to really make a comeback, and I'm super excited for that personally. Then there is the completionist, and these are the players that are determined to hit 100% completion, collecting every single item, visiting every single location, and unlocking every single achievement. So this is something I genuinely don't know how players do, because I've never been a completionist myself, but I do have a ton of respect for them because I definitely am not built that way myself. But these people are real and they will love this game a lot, since there's probably going to be so much to keep you busy for so long. And finally, we have the Wanderer, which is honestly one of my favorite categories just conceptually to think about. These are going to be the players who drive around aimlessly, just listening to the radio, or maybe sitting alone on a beach doing literally nothing, with no real objective or any direction. And unlike the Explorer, they're not hunting for anything specific. They're just enjoying the atmosphere and the vibe of the world for just what it is. I think this is going to be a huge category for more casual players who aren't big gamers, who want to experience GTA 6 without any pressure to accomplish anything specific. So at the end of the day, the real question is, what do you actually want to do in this game? I genuinely believe that GTA 6 is going to offer more distinct playstyles than any Rockstar game before it. Hell, maybe even more than any video game, period. Every single player is going to walk away remembering this game for a completely different reason. And I don't think there's going to be one way to experience GTA 6. I think there are going to be millions of ways, and they're all going to be happening simultaneously. Personally, for me, I feel like I'm going to be a mix between a few of these, probably leaning hardest into the hunter, criminal, content creator, and gym rat. But I really want to know which one of these resonates with you the most, and what are you personally the most excited to spend your time doing? Let me know down in the comments. I want to get a real conversation going, because I know that the marketing situation has had people feeling pretty negative lately, myself included, but I want something fun for all of us to think about while we wait. If you enjoyed this, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button, and I live stream every single night at around 12:30 Eastern Time if you want to come hang out and talk about GTA 6 or gaming in general. We also have a Discord link in the description if you want a community to talk with and eventually play alongside when this game finally comes out. And like I always say, stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you in Vice City.